Hi, my name is Javon Davis. I'm 17 and I'm the coolest one here.
Hi, my name is Mackenzie. I'm 17 and that was allowed.
Hi, my name is Cameron. I'm 17, and they're both lying.
Hi, I'm Tegan and I'm also 17.
And I'm Montana and I'm also 17.
Eric Harris, Dylan Claiborne, Columbine, Adam Lonzo, Sandy Hook, Charles Andrew, William Santana High School. These are just a few of the tragedies that have sprouted from unaddressed mental health issues within teenagers. There has been a significant increase of mental health issues within adolescents, and it's crucial that we know the effects of these unaddressed issues. As stated by the National Alliance on Mental Illness, 1 in 6 U.S. youths aged 16 to 17 experience serious mental health issues. Let's think about that. 1 in 6. You're in high school. The average amount of people in a classroom, or the maximum, is 30. That means 5 people, 5 of your peers, have experienced mental health issues. Could you be one of them? Mental health issues within adolescents are increasing each year, and they can be directly linked to acts of violence, substance abuse, and the progression of taking part in criminal acts. These 3 major issues that can affect your life greatly. 3 major issues directly spread from mental health. 3 major issues that still seem to have no definite solution to decrease their increasing rise. 3 major issues that I plan to discuss. Mental health issues can lead to the abuse of drugs and alcohol, which also can lead to addiction and accidental overdose. When you have both a substance abuse problem and a mental health issue, such as depression, bipolar disorder, or anxiety, it's called a co-occurring disorder or dual diagnosis. This can then lead to addiction ending with an overdose. Substance abuse is increasing at a substantial rate. As stated by the psychological site, substance use can help alleviate unwanted mental health symptoms like hopelessness, anxiety, irritability, and negative thoughts. A study of 10,000 adolescents conducted by the Child Mind Institute in 2016 found that 2/3 of those who developed alcohol or substance use disorders had experienced at least one mental health disorder. They went on to say that kids who are anxious or depressed may feel emotionally even if they drink or smoke marijuana. This means that they might go in with a group and they might be peer pressured to smoke something or to drink some alcohol, and then they get hooked to it. As stated by the Mental Health Gov, mental health problems can sometimes lead to alcohol or drug use, as some people with a mental health problem may misuse these substances as a form of self-medication, meaning they think there's something wrong with them, so they can't get prescribed by a doctor because they don't think that there's actually something that crucial, so then they self-medicate using alcohol or drugs. The abuse of drugs can then lead to addiction and maybe even overdose. In the longer term, it exacerbates them and often ends in abuse or dependence. Adolescent alcohol or drug use accelerates very quickly when an untreated mental health disorder is present. A teen with anxiety might start by smoking marijuana to help calm them down before social events. And then you'll notice that every morning they need to smoke marijuana just to help them get up, just to help them prepare for class. Smoking like this will lead to addiction. In co-occurring disorders, both the mental health issue and the drug or alcohol addiction have their own unique systems that may get in the way of your ability to function at work, to maintain a stable home life, handle life's difficulties, and relate to others. To make this situation even more complicated, the co-occurring disorders can also affect each other. When a mental health problem occurs and it's untreated, the substance abuse problem usually just gets worse. And when alcohol or drug abuse increases, mental health problems usually increase too. But you're not alone. Co-occurring substance abuse problems and mental health issues are more common than many people realize. According to reports published in the Journal of the American Medical Association, roughly 50% of individuals with severe mental disorders are affected by substance abuse. 37% of alcohol abusers and 53% of drug abusers also have at least one serious mental illness. Of all people diagnosed as mentally ill, 29% abuse either alcohol or drugs. At a recent trail meeting I attended, there was a panel of recovering addicts. This one 16-year-old told his story about how, as a teenager, he struggled with mental health issues because of school. He wasn't the poorest child, it was just because he struggled in classes that were too hard for him. He started as usually just doing drugs and alcohol, but then it became an addiction because he started selling his clothes and selling his mother's jewelry in order to cope with his addiction. He then started committing crimes, and it took for his mother to realize that he was struggling after a while for him to get treated. Carrying around mental health issues can lead to the pressure of trying to cope with the issues instead of solving them, like taking drugs in order to feel relaxed and at peace. And through using these methods to cope, they can become your everyday, resulting in addiction, which within adolescents can affect not only their schoolwork, but their future. The 16-year-old that I mentioned previously before resorted to drugs, which then turned to him committing crimes in order to feed into his addiction. Mental health issues can be associated with committing crimes in order to cope, and then in turn, they get incarcerated and they don't receive the treatment that they need. In a story by a psychologist, Laura Burton, she told a story about a man who went to jail after his house caught on fire. When the fire department went in, they saw that he was making homemade bombs in the bottom of his basement. During his trial, they revealed that he had severe untreated mental health issues, and for which he had unsuccessfully been seeking treatment for 10 years. The judge in this case called it a sad fact that the man was only able to receive treatment as a result of something like this. This man sought treatment, but never got the treatment he deserved and sought out other coping skills. He soon got, after a while, he ended up getting treatment, but it took that long and for something that tragic to happen for him to be able to get treated. The Treatment Advocacy Center has also stated that within 5 years of first being diagnosed, 10.7% of men and 2.7% of women have been convicted of an offense like homicide or attempted homicide, assault, robbery, arson, any sexual offense or illegal threats or intimidation. The rate of violence offense by the patients with psychotic disorders was 4.8 times higher than among their siblings and 6.6 times higher than among matched controls in the general population. Most strikingly, over the 38 years, the incidence of violent behavior increased in direct proportion to the decrease in hospitalization time. After leaving jail, many no longer have access to needed health care and benefits. A criminal record often makes it hard for individuals to get a job or even housing. Many individuals, especially without access to mental health services and supports, wind up homeless and in emergency rooms, and often are rearrested. At least 83% of jail inmates with a mental illness did not have access to needed treatment, as stated by the National Alliance on Mental Illness. In a story by two people on the New York Times in the Washington Post, Christy Thompson and Taylor Elizabeth Eldridge, they say that there was a guy named John Rudd, and he experienced voices in his head, and he was in a prison. He told the staff members that he wanted to hang himself, so they then moved him to a suicide watch cell, according to records. When Rudd banged his head against the wall, trying to snap his neck, he was injected with haloperidol, an antipsychotic drug he used to treat schizophrenia and prevent suicide. The next day, a psychologist wrote that he would be moved out of the suicide watch cell and remain on care level 1, a label for those with no significant mental health needs. This means that this man, he legit tried to commit suicide. They still wouldn't give him the treatment that he needed. Mentally ill people can resort to committing crimes, but once they commit these crimes, like the data National Alliance on Mental Health Illness states, they don't get the treatment they deserve in order to be treated and prevent something worse from happening. Committing these acts of crime can turn into something way more tragic, to the point where, in order to cope, they have to harm either themselves or someone else. Acts of violence such as the harming of another or yourself can be caused by the untreated mental health issues within adolescence. Harming another person. Let's take, for instance, Columbine, written by Dave Cullen. Dylan Klebold was a sociopath, and Eric Harris a psychopath. Their untreated mental issues led to Columbine, the high school massacre causing dozens to either die or be harmed. Dozens of people killed just because never got the notice that they needed to get treated for their mental illnesses. A 2006 national survey found, for example, that 60% of Americans thought that people with schizophrenia were likely to act violently towards someone else, while 32% thought that people with major depression were likely to do so. It has been reported that those diagnosed with schizophrenia are 4 times more likely to have been convicted of a serious sexual offense than those without mental illnesses. It has been proposed that schizophrenia patients who engage in sexually offensive activities fall into 4 broad groups: those with pre-existing paraphilias, whose defiant sexuality arises in the context of illnesses or its treatment, whose defiant sexuality is one manifestation of a more generalized antisocial behavior, and other factors such as dementia, head injury, or substance misuse. Psychotic illnesses such as schizophrenia can sometimes be associated with aggressive or violent behavior. People living with schizophrenia are no more violent or dangerous than the rest of the population if they are receiving effective treatment and not misusing alcohol or drugs. Harming yourself. The suicide rate among people ages 10 to 24 years old climbed 56% between 2007 and 2017, according to the report from the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. Suicide itself is not a mental disorder, but one of the most important causes of suicide is mental illness, most often depression, bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, and substance use disorders. Suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the United States. It accounts for the loss of more than 41,000 American lives each year, more than double the number of lives lost to homicide. That's so many people who are lost to suicide because they cannot cope with their mental illness. They need treatment. Some people resort to drugs and alcohol in order to cope, like the 16-year-old boy who sold any and everything just to feel safe. It takes something extremely tragic to happen for them to stop. Some people turn their anger into wanting to make others feel how they feel, like the teenage school perpetrators, and some decide that committing crimes is their only escape route. The bottom line is we have to provide help and address the problem early on. We have to take interest in other peers and realize that there is a bigger picture to everyone's story. If someone, just one person, would have taken interest into Dylan Claymore, Eric Harris, or Adam Lanza and tried to get them the help they needed, just one person, or maybe even if there was a development in more skills in order to cope rather than resorting to drugs and crime, how many lives do you think would be and could be saved?